Hello, welcome to Reality. I'm Nicole Torpy Mason. This week we cover Ghost Adventures episode St. Ignatius Hospital with comedian Mike Berg. Mike is a Milwaukee-based comedian who has been featured at the Cream City Comedy Festival and Alternating Currents Arts Festival in Iowa. He will be performing at the Milwaukee Comedy Festival July 30th through August 3rd. For more information on that, go to milwaukeecomedy.com. And you can follow Mike on Instagram and on Twitter at Big Mike Berg. Ryan will be performing at Verified Laughs at Laugh Factory in Chicago on Wednesday, June 26th. He also will be producing Deep Space at Hawthorne Coffee on Thursday, June 27th. You can follow us on Twitter at TO_pod and on Instagram at Welcome to Reality MKE. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page. We're still working on getting all the episodes up there, but we've got a handful, and we hope to continue doing that. And now on to the show.
Welcome to Reality. I'm Ryan Mason. I'm joined here, as always, by a dog that is very rambunctious, and my wife, Nicole Torpy Mason.
Hello.
She's wrangling a dog
Trying
right now.
to wrangle the dog.
Trying to wrangle a dog right now. Bucky is our dog, and she is very worked up because we have a special guest here tonight, Mike Berg. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, I'm here.
Mike is holding 4 sheets of loose leaf paper and a beer in the other hand because he took extensive notes, it seems like.
I don't have a good memory at all. This is terrible.
Maybe that's the beer. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
We made Mike watch Ghost Adventures. For people who haven't listened before, our show is about introducing reality virgins and sometimes actual virgins. Mike, could you...
How long did it take you to write that joke? Seriously.
I say that every show.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
But we make people who don't watch reality TV watch reality TV, and then we break down the shows from the perspective of a newcomer, because Nicole is an expert who loves reality TV.
And is wrangling a
dog right now.
Yes.
And I'm somebody who comes in after nights on the road as a comedian and has to walk into these situations like watching 90 Day Fiancé or Ghost Adventures or The Bachelorette, and there's always something to talk about.
90 Day Fiancé is like the greatest show on television right now. Like, it's on 2 nights a week, 2 hours.
That's
2 hours Sunday, 2 hours
outlandish to me.
Monday, and I could watch it more. I love it
That's
so much.
wild.
Sorry, that's not what we were talking about this
Do
episode.
you
I
watch
just wanna
anything
say.
that's 2 hours long?
Movies.
See, I lose
Yeah.
attention span. Like, my attention span is so short that I forgot what this sentence was about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't have tolerance. Although we watched Chernobyl, those were kind of long.
But
Right.
but you know me, and I can't even watch. I cannot sit through a movie. I have no attention span.
Oh.
1 second. Yeah, so I have a very short attention span, but I like some long things. It's weird. I have a short attention span, but when it comes to like listening to music, I'll listen to records.
Sure.
Where like you have to leave it on a side for the whole time, which is odd. But like the 2-hour reality show to me is beyond exorbitant. It's way too much material, you know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spent 2 hours in a row watching reality TV except for maybe a Survivor finale when I was a kid. I don't think...
It's like comedy, like 2 hours is too much of it, almost.
Yeah.
Like, unless I'm doing it.
Disagree.
Which is straight. I mean, I will definitely binge watch nonstop The Office. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I could watch a show like
But
The
that's like
Office.
ASMR where you just have it on.
Yeah, it's like the beats of the show. Yeah, like...
You don't have to pay attention.
What did when we were
We
in
were just talking about this last night because we were talking about how our students binge watch The Office, but when we were in college, we would binge watch
Arrested Development.
like
because
nonstop.
it was before streaming video, so we would watch DVDs.
DVDs,
And,
yeah.
and you would be like, oh, you know, this person has a DVD of a season of this show.
Right.
And, you know, like, people would, like, stay in relationships because, like, oh, they have box set of Friends
They
or
got the
whatever.
box set,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, I totally remember people where it's like, oh, I know that person has all of Battlestar Galactica, so I want to hang out with them more.
Right.
And you know what's funny? Like, we just moved, so it was hard for me to give up my, like,
DVDs?
and I don't even have a DVD player anymore, and we would just stream stuff anyways, but I was like, I have the set of whatever, like giving up my seasons of Arrested Development, or like I had a bunch of anime and stuff. I was like, I don't even have a DVD player.
Yeah,
like,
right?
I don't know
Yeah.
why am I keeping this?
But the show we watched this week is like the opposite of that. This is like junk food TV at its core.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree.
we watched Ghost Adventures, which, I'll describe it, and I want you to kind of describe it. Because Nicole is an expert. She watches this show every week.
Yeah, oh yeah. From the start of the show till
I've
now,
probably
I love
seen
it.
like 100 episodes because my wife watches so goddamn much of it.
Yeah.
But this show is like 4 bros that just go to a spooky place and get scared.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
What would you say?
I feel like if Breaking Benjamin tried to solve a crime, that's how I describe it.
What is Breaking Benjamin?
Oh, they're a new metal band. So it'd be if they tried to solve anything.
I mean, that sounds right.
If they try to
I
find
don't know
their
who it
keys.
is.
Yeah.
If they try to find their keys on the bus, I feel like an episode of Ghost Adventures would break out.
If Breaking Benjamin was Scooby-Doo.
Right, there you go.
That's like for sure. Like the guys on the show do look kind of new metal.
Yeah.
Or just like they look I know I always say bros, but they're not they're like a very specific bro.
Right.
Yeah, they're like... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're
go
fine.
ahead.
They're new metal bros.
Yeah.
I've been to too many of those concerts, and I've seen those guys a lot.
So like they're not gonna wear makeup, but
No.
they're gonna do everything
Except wear makeup.
wear makeup.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like they're gonna have the tattoos. Yeah. They're gonna wear chunky black glasses, a lot of hair gel,
like rings.
Rings.
Like
yeah,
lots
maybe
of
a
rings.
thumb ring.
Yeah. Maybe like a silver cross necklace.
Yeah.
You know.
Zach Bagans is like Dark Fieri. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
That's pretty
what I would
That's
say he
very
is.
good. Yeah.
And I say that with love because I love Guy Fieri. He's like one of my favorite television anythings. But like Zach Bagans to me is just like if Guy Fieri was emo, basically.
Well, I actually respect Guy Fieri more. So
Same.
I don't know.
Yeah. God, emo Guy Fieri would be such a thing. I wish like somebody was that proud to be emo. Like that wore it on
I
their
mean, I
sleeve.
think he is. Like,
Guy Fieri, you think he is emo?
No.
Zach is proud.
No, like I think Zach, I think Zach and Aaron. So the show originally started with 3 different guys. So it was Zach, Aaron, and a different guy. Nick, yes, you're familiar.
I Wikipedia'd it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did his homework. Jesus Christ.
And so, but I think that they do have some sense of humor about themselves. Like I do, I think they take themselves very seriously, and I think they think they're like breaking news.
Right.
But I also think that they have a sense of humor about
let's be
themselves.
honest though, like if somebody captured the undead on camera, like communicate, isn't that news? Or is it just like
I think
pseudoscience?
that would be news.
Right.
Well,
this is the problem the Ghostbusters ran into.
Well, that's how they kind of made a name for themselves. They were making a documentary.
Right.
So Zach and Nick were making a documentary. They hired Aaron to just be a cameraman for them, and they caught this like thing on.
This dog is going bananas.
They caught this thing on camera, which was essentially like a brick flying across the room. They got on like local news. It was like a whole, and that's sort of how they like sold their documentary to Travel Channel. So
That's
it
wild.
was news.
It's wild that the Travel Channel is just like, we're a legitimate organization, and then they saw these 3 guys, like, and they were like, yeah, well, that's all.
Well, they do. I mean, the first half of every episode is sort of a travel show. It is sort of
that
like,
is true.
Here's where we're going.
They talk to the Chamber of Commerce.
I mean, truly, this dog is just... I'm so sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
So actually, before we get into the episode, we usually ask, did you watch reality TV growing up? What's your reality TV situation?
I would probably say off and on. I mean, I caught on to Survivor that first season. I think everybody did.
Sure.
You're like a little younger than us. Are you 30 yet?
I'm 31.
You're 31. Okay.
31. That 1 year matters a lot. Okay, anyways.
It does.
It does. It does. That was irony. But anyways, I honestly, this is pretty cliche for me. If you know me, I did like Viva La Bam. I owned the DVDs of Viva La Bam.
Man, that's so good.
That's like the first. That's like the first mention of that on our. But that was like a huge genre.
I thought it was
TV
pretty
then.
fun.
Kind of like
It was more fun than Jackass because you'd watch Jackass and you'd be uncomfortable. Like
Right.
they would do things you don't want to see.
But Viva La Bam was,
Viva La
more
Bam
like
was
a
just fun.
Pranks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pranks on their parents. They were all rich. They lived in a mansion. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, have at it. Like, who cares? But yeah, Jackass was uncomfortable to watch. I didn't like
Yeah.
that, but I did like Viva La Bam.
But like now that guy's like kind of falling on hard times.
Oh yeah, he's
right?
not good.
Bam?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
one of his friend died in a car
Yeah.
accident.
It's such a
and-
bummer. Every time I see a picture of it, I'm just like, this is a bummer. Because that show was just like, to me, as an outsider, was whenever I went over to like a friend who was a skater,
Right.
it was like they would watch it, and it was like pure joy.
It
you know?
was.
Like it's just
Unlike Jackass,
unlike Jackass.
which is just like stressful.
I always felt that way
I
about
can
what
see
was
where
the
you're coming from with
what
that.
was the like Steve-O animal one?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I remember that show.
Jackass?
No, like with animals, specifically with Steve-O. I will say, like,
Yeah, I don't
Jackass
recall.
to me, the first season of Jackass was like a revolution.
Sure.
Like when you saw it,
Oh yeah,
you
we were
like,
all. I could pretend to do the stunts more than I could watch the show.
really.
Right, so like we would steal a shopping cart from the grocery
Yeah, of
store,
course,
and we
everybody
would
did
jump
that,
in
right?
it and like go up a hill and stuff. But like if I watched it on TV, I was like, these idiots. These. But I would be okay with doing it. I just didn't like watching it.
Right.
It was a weird dynamic.
You're just gonna feed this dog treats
Yeah.
until it falls asleep.
I'm so sorry. This dog is not usually like this.
Maybe it's possessed.
It's scared of animals. So do you watch any reality shows now?
Currently, I'm no.
Does your girlfriend?
She's really heavy, and oh, that's a bad pun. She likes 600, the 600-pound life.
Oh God, I love
Oh
that
my
show.
God.
Is that what it's called?
My
Have you
600
seen
pound
that?
My
life.
600-pound
Have you
life.
seen that show?
I've caught glimpses of it, but she'll just text me.
It is depressing.
Right. So she's like mad at this person. They
Yeah.
keep gaining and losing weight. She's like, I hate this person. By the end of the episode, she texts me, the person died. It's like, you were
Yeah.
so mad at
Yeah.
this person, and then they did pay for what they did.
Yeah.
So like, that's a harsh show, I would say.
But there are, I feel like there are episodes that are very hopeful.
This is what she says.
50-50 show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I mean,
50-50
yeah.
show.
But okay, like if that's true, let's take it from the standpoint of like people who watch that show are like, I'm rooting for these people. Well, like one of the possible outcomes there is that they die. Yeah, and like to me
this
that's
is
like
not an
it's
okay
way
thing to
too
do.
real. It's way too real for me, and like I find it very sad.
Yeah,
Just
and then-
in general.
and then-
I also find parts of it hilarious, and then I feel bad for being like, oh, that's really funny. You know?
My girlfriend does tell me or show me videos of the doctor.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
great.
Doctor.
He's
He's
really
funny.
great.
Like
he's
how he enters the room every
Yeah.
time. He has a catchphrase. I don't know it off the top of my head, but he's always like,
Oh God.
"Hey y'all, you doing?" or some weird.
There are
thing.
like so many Dr.
Yeah.
Now memes
How are you
on the
doing?
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're the enabler. And the one joke that Ryan and I make always is like that show is not doing great things for the Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches.
No.
Oh
Because,
man,
like,
the people
they're
like
just
the way
eating
they
them
eat
like
junk food on
candy.
that show is like they knock them back like
Right.
Tic Tacs. It's wild.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's like very much like intervention though, where
Yeah.
it's like half the show is like just watching someone
Okay.
like destroying themselves.
I
And
would
just,
watch
like,
it if they were all a success story,
But they're not.
but they're not.
Because
Yeah.
it's reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's not fiction.
Yeah, I wish it was fiction.
Yeah.
So we made you watch Ghost Adventures. We talked a little bit about Zach Bagans and who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's like an Affliction T-shirt that got struck by lightning.
Right.
And I want to know though before we talk about this. So you said you don't like being scared.
I don't.
I don't either. I
hate
don't
it.
like scary movies.
It's like spicy food. I'm just angry when I
Yeah.
experience it. Why would
like,
you want that?
It makes me nervous. It makes me feel
Anxious?
anxious.
Sweaty.
Yeah, it's like a Ben Stiller movie. It's like you know what I mean. Like I don't need that.
Oh.
So like I tend to not choose that type of media to
Sure.
consume.
I agree.
But my question for you would be: do you believe in ghosts?
No.
So what is scary about it then?
I don't know. I think I'm scared of dark, uncomfortable places. I'm scared
Okay.
that something's gonna jump out. I hate jump scares. I hate not knowing what's gonna
Yeah.
happen when they enter a room. I hate
So
the
you're like
unknown.
anxious.
I guess.
Would you describe yourself as anxious? You always seem
No.
like so cool as a cucumber.
I don't think I'm anxious,
Like-
but I fear jump scares.
Okay.
Like, that's why I can't watch horror movies or slasher flicks or anything like
Yeah.
that because they're predicated upon that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's no way you can see a slasher flick and you're not going to jump.
Yeah.
And then I'm the guy in the theater that jumps up and leaves. Like, I just can't deal with it.
Or like lets out a scream. You know, my mother.
Yeah.
I've screamed.
My mother is like, she will literally. This is my mom watching a movie. Ah.
No, it's much more like ah! Like, it's very high pitched. It's very like ah!
She like lets out an actual scream.
Yeah,
It's adorable. Like
no,
it is
yeah, like
adorable.
I'm not making fun. Like it's. I mean, I guess we're kind of making fun of it, but it's like cute. It's like
For me, like I don't like being scared in general. It makes me feel like I'm not in control, and like that's the way it is with a lot of things. You know, that's why I don't like getting too drunk or like you know being at a place where I don't know as many of the details, right? And like with performing, like I like to be in control. That's why I don't do improv. I don't do like team. I don't know a lot of team stuff. I like to be the person with the control. And then like being scared, it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
Right.
And then like, oh no, what am I gonna do when that happens? Right?
Right.
But I'm sure there's like guys out there, and that's why this show is interesting to me, is because these guys you would think would be real macho, tough guys, but they very much acknowledge being scared.
Well, their feelings are
Which
present. They have a lot of feelings.
Yes,
They're feeling a lot of things.
I kind of admire that. That is one part of the show that like this show is silly. It is a silly show. It is silly to put guys that look like they work at a vape shop
Right.
into these situations.
Own a vape shop.
And then have to like talk about their feelings. Like imagine the guy you buy vape juice from,
Right.
then being like, "Here's how I feel in this moment."
Or a tattoo guy. Same thing.
Exactly.
but like
And maybe that's like turning, you know, heteronormative
Yeah, that might be
behavior on its head.
heteronormativity.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah.
no, because I mean I feel like there's a lot of like I don't know that there were any on this episode, but I feel like there's a lot of like jokes. Like toxic masculinity type jokes.
Oh, that they make?
That they make to each other.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
There wasn't any.
I don't know
Yeah,
if there
not
were
this show.
any in this episode, but
I
Maybe
think they
they've
were
gotten away
legitimately freaked out by this environment.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they were.
Even if I say I don't believe in ghosts, that doesn't mean I'm going to go into that hospital. No way.
Dude,
Yeah.
I would never.
There's
go
no
there.
way I'm going
Not
into
a
an
chance
abandoned hospital.
in hell. Yeah.
That
Because
OSHA hasn't
what if?
verified?
right?
That what?
Because what if? What if
Well,
you're wrong?
Not what if, but like...
But like, why?
I guess, okay, what if the homeless man that lived
yeah,
in the attic
yeah.
would come
Yeah.
out and murder you?
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the place that they go to.
Sure.
Ghost Adventures, they send these guys to all types of places,
Right.
generally located near Las Vegas. Because they're located in Las Vegas, so a
Yeah.
lot of their episodes are like in the Old West. But this place is called St. Ignatius Hospital. Where is it located?
Oh, God,
Does anybody
you know
know?
what?
Washington.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Washington State.
State.
And it's a huge old hospital, and they said it was around for at least 100 years because it was around during the influenza breakout of the 1910s.
Yeah.
So which many people in the United States died, like a lot,
In the
like
world.
Yeah.
in the world, right? So it decreased like the world population by a certain percentage that
Yeah.
was like noticeable, right?
They said like 1 in 6 people died or
Yeah,
something? Like,
on the
which is
Earth.
Insane.
That's wild. So this place was around as not just a hospital, but like a place where the terminally ill would go, the mentally ill would go, and at that time there just wasn't modern medicine, so a lot of people were just going there to kind of die.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean,
which they didn't explain. Like a lot of these episodes, they'll be like, and here's the body place where we send all the dead bodies. They didn't really explain that.
No.
But obviously a lot of suffering probably happened there and a lot of death.
They had a lot of montages of women with black hair and white nightgowns.
Yes.
There's a lot of
That's
that.
enough for me. Tell
And
me
bugs. There was just continuous video footage of bugs
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
that
like,
weren't in the hospital. They were
Yeah.
just there on the screen.
All their shots of like...
Just trying to make you uncomfortable.
All
That's
their-
what it is.
Yeah.
all their exposition is just like, yeah, well, what if there was a bug?
and then noises all like, wow,
Right.
like on all their like
I noticed.
coming.
Yeah, like strings, like
Yeah,
high-pitched strings,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't think there was a moment where there wasn't music. There was
Yeah.
always a score.
It's very noticeable.
just always pulsating.
Yeah.
Which
throughout.
drives me crazy because sometimes they'll be like, "Can listen to this noise," and then
Right.
just like I don't know if I'm hearing music, like the score, or like I'm hearing what they're trying to tell me that they're hearing, and it's very
Yeah.
distracting.
We always talk about, like, is this a high production value show or is this a low production value show? And this one's really difficult. It's hard to actually pinpoint because, on the one hand, it's on a decent network. You know, I think the Travel Channel has like a decent budget. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, like, the way that the show is edited is, like, preposterous to me.
Right.
Like, so, I can't even... And then the stars of the show have to be making some pretty good coin at this point, because this show's been on for several years.
And they're probably executive producers. And
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
They make all the money off of it and everything.
Let's talk about the guys on the show. So, the main guy is Zach. And we talked about how he's, like, a little bit of new metal. But what's, like, your take on him, like, from a personal level?
I don't know. I feel like he was a failed poet. Because he's always trying to talk real fancy.
Yeah.
And you know he just doesn't have the intelligence for it. Like, there's a few times he tries to talk about death and what it means.
Yes.
And there's a woman behind him, Nancy. She's one of the docents.
Yeah, Nancy.
And she's staring at him, like, trying to figure out what he's saying. And they're in a scary place.
Yeah.
Like, they're feeling emotions. But she is bored listening to him talk about what he thinks death is. Like,
I know.
So he's just trying so hard to be a poet, but he can't.
But, like, his frame of reference and his, like, media that he's consumed is not going to be, like, fucking Euripides, right? No. You know what I mean? It's going to be, like... He's
doing his best.
Yeah, it's going to
be... It's a guy doing his best. That's what this show is.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, he's going to try and describe death, and, like, his... main source of media was a 5-Finger Death Punch album or something, which just he doesn't have the. Nicole's mad now. Are you getting mad?
No, I'm not mad. I legitimately like this show. Like I don't watch it ironically. I don't watch it like to make fun of it. I legitimately like it. But like the weird
nobody's
like,
confusing themselves.
Yeah, like the weird voiceovers that Zach does. I always hate the like way that he is like,
is this a well to another dimension?
Yeah. Could this be the ghost that they've talked about earlier?
Could someone in this room have died of? It's very suggestive.
But I think like I was saying, the beginning of the shows when he goes around, he's like kind of joking and he's talking to people.
That
like,
part's
I think
very
he's
fun.
Good at
I like that part.
Well, that's what you said. It was like a travel show at that point. Although I would say these aren't places I want to go to. So it's not like a good travel brochure.
I mean, I don't know that
like Bizarre Foods is kind of like that. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go.
Bizarre Foods, no, but Guy Fieri, yes. I want to go and eat.
You want to go and eat? Okay, yes, of course.
I mean, he's eating the best stuff, the cheesiest stuff, and
you're right. I mean, you're somebody who likes Taco Bell.
I want to go.
Who likes?
But yeah, you're right. I'm not going to eat bugs, and the Bizarre Foods. That's a different thing.
Do you think it's weird that Guy Fieri doesn't like eggs?
I haven't heard that.
That is a thing. So if you watch,
I don't think it's weird though.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't love eggs.
I'm
okay with eggs.
If you watch his show enough, you'll notice there are times when he's just like, I won't eat this because there's an egg on it.
That's weird.
It is weird.
He should at least eat it.
I kind of get it because eggs are like slimy-ish, whatever. Like they can be, but like.
Oh, the dog pooped out. Update, the dog.
Oh my god, I thought you meant the dog pooped and I got so scared.
No, the dog got tuckered, everybody.
Can we talk about though that sorry, I don't mean to jump around, but it has to do with Nancy, the docent.
What does docent
mean? What is a docent?
That's like a term for like the people who like
a medium.
No. They're like the people who like care for the museums or whatever. Like if you go to like it's usually
say groundskeeper.
Well, no, it's usually like a volunteer who will who's sort of like. You know, like when you go to like a historic place and there's like some old lady that's like, would you like to hear about Abraham Lincoln? Or whatever? Yeah. Like those people they're kind of like, they're not like doing like yard work.
Mike,
but
you should go to Springfield, Illinois.
Is it cool?
You would love
it.
Is it spooky?
The Lincoln Museum?
No.
It's not spooky, but there's just a lot going on. And it's fun.
The Lincoln Museum is really great.
Yeah.
We still like Lincoln, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everyone's still okay with Lincoln.
Yes.
Not everyone.
Do you know
we don't like anybody from history, but like Lincoln's alright.
Yeah. He's like the one that got away.
He did his best. Right? He did his best.
Imagine if Lincoln was canceled.
Well, I think the whole thing with Lincoln is that he didn't like slavery as an institution, but people say he didn't like black people. So like,
is that right?
That's what I've researched.
Well, I gotta say, he did them a solid, so I think he gets a pass, but we should say we're all
if that's the worst thing that a man in the 1860s that you can say of him, that's alright.
And
like, in the 1860s, it's like, okay, calm down.
Yeah, clarify the 1860s. No,
1860s, yeah.
But anyway, Nancy was like,
The docent.
first of all, I love that she swore. Like, cause
Yeah,
she was so happy about
She was
it.
so happy
She's
to
like, can I
swear.
say shit?
She hasn't
Yeah.
done it, like, in a long time.
Yeah, she was
right?
very happy.
I love that she was like immediately embedded in the show. Like she was like, I was like, get rid of this Billy, get rid of Billy, add Nancy
Nancy.
in,
Poor Billy
because
Collins.
Billy to me is always like trying to insert himself in
Yeah.
ways that is not like very fun.
Which speaks to the episode, but we can get to that at the end.
Yeah.
I said this about the last time we reviewed this show or covered this show. Like, they have this guy, and I don't think he was on this episode, but he sometimes shows up. They need a woman.
Yes.
Like, they need to have a
Yeah.
woman, and they
So
could
like
be a
Paranormal Lockdown has a woman, right? And
yeah, I
there's
think
another
so.
comedian who we're gonna have on in a few weeks, Drew Flaggy, who is into these ghost
I
shows.
didn't watch Paranormal Lockdown.
And he's into
so much.
Paranormal Lockdown, so we'll talk to him about that a little bit. But we're gonna make him watch something like Real Housewives of Potomac.
I think it's Potomac, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, she was talking about it, and she said that the hospital closed in 2000. That hospital, I know that's 19 years ago, and I understand that I'm old, and like when I'm like, oh, 2000, that was not long ago. But that hospital looked like it had not been touched in 50
Right.
years.
Yeah.
That was only from 2000.
I can't believe that structure
closed
was
down
someplace.
permanently.
Right.
So I do feel like there were parts of the hospital that
okay,
were
okay.
closed down, and then in 2000 they closed the whole thing down.
Okay.
And I feel like probably Michael's room, Rose's room were one of those older closed down ones.
Right, and then they
Yeah,
said
that
they
could be.
tried to open like tours there, so maybe they
Right.
they had a section of the hospital that was like functioning in that capacity that they could bring people through.
Well, that's
Can I
when
just
they
say, like,
started
what
to-
town is just like, oh, that big old scary abandoned building? Let's do some tours of that. Make a little cash.
They do that in
out of
every
it.
town.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do that in every town.
I guess we do it here with like
There's
breweries.
ghost tours in Walker's Point. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Have
stuff.
you been? Is
The
anyone-
Rave, I think, used to have a tour.
Yeah.
I think
Because the
they still
swimming.
do.
Oh, they still
I
because the
think
swimming
so.
pool is supposed
We
to be
should
haunted.
say we record in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and there is a nice history. There's tons of history here because of the beer industry that has existed here for over 150 years, and the motorcycle industry. But the Rave, the club we were talking about, is a rock and roll club now, but rock and roll venue. But it used to just be like a gentleman's club.
Right. Ballroom dancing.
Yeah, ballroom. They would have events there. There's a pool where a kid died.
Right, in the basement.
In the basement of it, and they say that is haunted. Which, like, all you have to tell me is, like, hey, there's a pool in the basement of this old building. I'd be like, yeah, it's fucking, I'm not going
Haunted.
there. Not
Haunted.
even a second.
I don't even believe in ghosts, but I believe
Yeah.
it's haunted.
Well, and like the ambassador, although I don't think that's sanctioned by the ambassador.
The Ambassador
You-
Hotel.
Oh, they
Yeah.
deny it?
Well, I don't think
No,
that
I mean,
the
it's
tour,
clear that the Ambassador Hotel.
Oh, there's a
'Cause-
tour at the end. Oh.
Well, because Jeffrey Dahmer killed someone there.
Right.
Right.
But I don't know that the ambassador sanctions
I
that
would
tour.
think,
wouldn't.
I would think not.
Whoever's the manager, I would say no
Yeah.
thanks.
No, thank you.
We
It's
don't
an
need
old,
that.
it's an
We
old
don't need that
hotel.
here.
It's also like a beautiful hotel.
It's really, really nice.
But yes, Jeffrey Dahmer did kill people there, and then there's some people who try to make a buck off that.
Which I think is a little gross because that was only in the 80s and like people's.
Yeah, they might know those
Yes,
people
yeah.
still.
Anyway,
Fun. What a fun
back
time.
to this. So were we going through just the folks?
Yeah, let's talk about sequentially. Nancy
Okay.
the docent was one of the first things that is on the show. She comes in, says she's a docent, doesn't explain what that is.
No,
That
nobody
is like a
explains
term
it.
that you should know.
And then I'm done.
I should have Googled it.
Yeah,
I
we
really should've.
honestly really should.
I have 4 pages of notes.
Yeah.
No definition of docent
And
anywhere.
literally the first thing is like a woman says, I'm a docent. And you and I look at each other like, what is a docent?
I
It's
feel
like
like
a
I'm supposed to
thing,
know
like
what that is, so
museums.
admitting I don't know what it is will look bad for
I
me.
love it that if this was us in the show, we'd be like, oh, so you can talk to ghosts? And she'd be like, no, I take care of old buildings. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like it's kind of like an ambassador. Like
Okay.
they're usually volunteers. It's usually older people who are retired who are like volunteering at like a museum or a historic site.
Yeah.
And they kind of take you through and
I'm Nancy and I'm a docent.
tell you. Yeah, exactly.
Colfax.
They
That was the name of
mentioned-
the town.
They
Colfax.
mentioned Michael, a patient at this hospital, and they're like, he was a bad dude. And then
And was he?
they show some like video of like a guy chained up on a wheelchair type of thing in a
Right.
straitjacket.
Well, from what I remember, he was just a patient that died and he had a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But they make him out to be this evil spirit.
Was this
Yeah.
the guy in
Well, they
room
said he was like
312?
mean.
Right. This is
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is the spirit that's supposedly causing all the
Right.
Okay, but they also made it very clear that he was handsome, which I found to be strange.
Oh, yeah.
They said that.
What was his quote? Oh, my God. Zach had the most
I think they called him
ridiculous
like
quote.
an angry, handsome man.
Something handsome. Oh.
And I just...
But I wrote that down, too. I
Man,
agree.
these notes are really coming in handy.
Zach. Look at how I wrote. Something about being handsome.
Yeah.
It cracks.
But I do remember that Zach did call him handsome, and it was unsettling.
Yes.
Because first of all, how do you know?
Yeah, there's no
photo of him.
Yeah.
Is he referring to the actor that plays the fake Michael?
Also, who are the actors? So they do these little, like, sort of reenactments of events that may or may not have happened.
Yeah, they're never very clear.
Which probably didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
But then they're shot in such a way that it's sort of laid over the screen where they actually are. So it's...
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because it's like, okay, so these guys in this studio in, like, Vegas, that they just film these guys...
Yeah.
Okay, they're like, we're gonna put a straitjacket on you. Just act like an asshole.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, you're on TV.
Also, do you believe that they were filmed in sets on a soundstage? Those little, or did they
vignettes,
take actors and put them in the hospital in daylight and everything was fine?
No way, those are filmed somewhere totally
Okay, so
separate.
that was a soundstage.
Yeah, unless it's just like Billy or Zach.
Well, then just imagine the money they're using just to build a set for 3 seconds of stock
Yeah, but
footage.
they're not building a set.
They're probably just
you think?
renting like a
Or,
space.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or it's just like a white background. They're overlaying the actual
Perhaps,
location.
Perhaps.
It is like unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. I think we've all circled
Yeah.
around that it's unnecessary. And it's just there to create mood and tension.
Yeah, I don't need like a guy being like creepy guy. I don't need any of it, but like that part to me is not what's fun about the show. The fun part, but maybe it wouldn't work without some of that. What do you think, Nicole? You watch this show. Do they need all that shit?
I mean, they've kind of added to the show as the years have gone on. Like their big thing when they first started was like it's just 3 dudes and no camera crew, and they go in and like literally lock themselves into a place. And I don't even think they say that in the beginning anymore, where they're like no camera crews or anything. I don't even think they say that anymore because it's clear that they have camera crews.
It was reminiscent of a show that used to be on MTV, like one of the greatest reality shows in my opinion. Fear.
But that wasn't real.
It wasn't? What do you mean?
Well, it was like a game show.
Right.
So it wasn't like they were like.
Are you familiar with this show?
I am not.
Okay, so what they would do is they would get. It was kind of like they would get like teenagers or like people in their early 20s. This is on MTV.
I think they were like all of age.
They would take them to
they
a really.
They did put like a 16-year-old in.
They would
it
take
is
them to
MTV.
these really scary places, and then they would mount these cameras on them, but that actually just kind of showed their face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was right after Blair Witch.
I was gonna say you have to remember this is like Blair Witch Project time.
And these cameras could you could see them, and it could kind of see around a little bit.
They had those dual cameras.
And then they had tasks that you have to go to this point in this place, like go reach this.
So they would
location.
they'd essentially take them to creepy places and be like, okay,
like
so it's a
almost.
game show.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, you have to go. First person out has to go into this dark cave and push this button 16 times, and then you can come back. And if they could do it, if they could get up the nerve to do it, they would get points, and then I think you would win money at the end or something.
It was a great show.
But it wasn't
But the most important thing about that show is that the theme song was the song Voodoo by Godsmack.
Oh, that does sound important.
Although I want to say that
that's its legacy.
Generally, it was generally they were sort of dumb tasks. It was just like, are you afraid of the dark? Basically, if you're afraid of the dark,
was that always the thing that you were?
Kind of. It was like
afraid of the dark?
It was basically like go to a scary place in the dark and see if you can handle it. But there was one episode that I will never forget that is just seared into my brain where they had to be buried alive. Do you remember that?
No, I remember an episode where they had to go into this cremation facility, and it was so scary.
Yeah, I remember.
Was it like an abandoned one?
Yeah. And I was like, why
it's just creepy.
I was like, why would anyone do this?
Go in there.
But yeah, that's getting away from this show. We mentioned Michael the patient. Some other things are mentioned is Finger Lady.
Rose.
The Finger Lady.
Yeah.
She was another patient that had dementia.
Okay.
And then she died. As most of them did.
Yes.
In a hospital.
Yeah.
I remember the first line of the show. They asked Nancy, or Zach asks Nancy, how many people have died here? And she says thousands. And I'm like, this hospital was open for over 100 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
Thousands?
literally
Okay.
every hospital has had thousands of
Right,
people
I'm
die
not
there.
really...
Yeah, that's why I won't go to them.
That's generally where people die.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not always, but generally.
Yeah.
But I'm sure every hospital you've ever looked up has had thousands of deaths. What was that? Like a Tuesday? Like, I don't really get thousands. And Zach's like, I can feel it. He's always like, I can feel it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. They talk a lot about, like, having themselves touched by a spirit or,
Yes.
like, a spirit passing through them. And in this episode, they actually call upon some local investigators of this place, some people who are amateur ghost adventures. One of them is this guy named Jeff Gadley.
Ooh, oh boy.
And Jeff Gadley.
By the way, they do this fairly often, where
Yeah.
they interview
I actually like this.
local people who have. Yeah, I do too. Again, it's like that travel aspect of it.
Yeah, it's like when when a national headliner calls on a local boy to come up and feature. Am I right, guys?
Kind of like that.
Jeff Gadley is like this lonely, bad teeth on this guy, but he has heart and soul on this show.
I just want to point out that I wrote it down, and I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I wrote this down that Jeff Gadley was 21 years old.
No, that cannot be true.
Why did he
That
say
is
that?
so
I
not
wrote
true.
it down.
There's
Where did
no
they
way.
say that?
I don't know.
They did not.
I
That's not true.
upsettingly wrote it down because I was like, "That's impossible."
That's nowhere in my notes.
Ridiculous. That is so ridiculous.
My unorganized notes do not
I
include
could
that.
be wrong, but I wrote it down
That
with
guy looks
shock
like
and
he's
awe.
like 40.
Yeah.
I would maybe trust you over my notes.
I mean, that's what my notes say. I don't remember.
I don't
for
think he
sure.
was 21.
No.
He looked like 45.
Can I ask you, though, as somebody who's never seen the show, you say they do this a lot.
Yeah.
Was he a standout? Because it seemed like this was pretty dramatic.
Yes.
Okay, so he was a standout guest.
Yes,
paranormal
typically
investigator.
it's like people who are like, oh, I went in there and we caught this. Maybe they have an EVP recording, or maybe they just tell a story. But this was extreme, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
I wanted
so-
to make sure that this wasn't normal.
No, this was not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say it was paranormal?
No. I was scared of him. I would want to be in the car with him.
Yeah, so Jeff...
Ever.
Oh, speaking of, so Jeff Gadley, this is what happened. So Jeff and his crew, they go into this room where this Michael, this character that they've described as like a bad dude, was.
But young and handsome.
But also young and handsome.
Very handsome.
Bugs. And Jeff Gadley kneels down, and then he feels like he can't get up.
Right.
And he felt like that was the spirit like holding him down.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that it felt like a magnet got him,
Mm-hmm.
which was silly because he's not made of metal.
No.
But it was a fun thing for him to say.
Right.
And then he was like, he felt like he was being possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike, he gets into the car with his friend Jose.
Jose. And we never see Jose.
Who we never see.
Jose did not want to be a part of this.
Yeah. Jose, good on you. Jose, you were doing all the right moves. But what does Mike say about Jose?
What does Jeff say?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff Gadley, yes.
Yeah, Jeff says that he was in the car with Jose, and he felt a strong urge to crush his skull.
So extreme.
Crush his skull.
So extreme.
He wrote it in a text message to Zach, and then he said it on national television that he wanted to crush a man's skull.
Which is so wild.
It's insane.
I mean,
And he was sweating the whole interview.
Yes.
I was concerned for his
he
health.
was like almost crying.
He was
which is
so
fine.
red.
There's nothing
There was
wrong
a
with
weird
that.
lean, like a lot of leaning and crying.
Yes. And that's fine. But like the fact that he's like, yeah, my friend Jose, and it hurt my heart to say it to him. But I told him, I think this demon's got a hold of me and I'm scared. And then Jose, like, you're driving with Jose and he's like, oh, and also I want to crush your skull. That's what the demon's telling me, What we needed Jose's reaction though.
Yeah, I mean,
I was concerned that did he do it? Like, why isn't Jose in the
great
episode?
point. We have not.
We've not.
Oh my god.
Jose,
Where
if you're out
is
there and you're
Jose?
listening, please
Oh, God, I
check
didn't
in.
think of it.
Please
Although,
check in.
I will say one of the things that made me really laugh, which is like, he's like telling this story and like he tells this like very intense like thing, and then he said something to the effect of like,
Gadley
well,
was
I
brilliant.
wanted to say, get those cameras out of my face. bastards. And he was like, he really had a hard time saying the word bastards. I was like, you just said you wanted to crush your friend's skull in. But like,
very strange.
Did not want to swear.
Right.
And
they made the right choice, though. That guy was great TV.
Right.
Like, he was compelling to watch.
It was strange, though, in the text that Zach showed, he almost word for word texted Zach what he then said in the interview.
Yeah.
Like, he said effing, and then he like, blurted out bastards in his text.
Yeah.
And then during the interview, he said effing, and then he, took 5 seconds to say
Zach was
bastard.
I need you to say this word for word on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I
show the text message.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, I paused it. I read the whole thing, and then that's why I knew when in the interview it was like, this is word for word what the text was. This is ridiculous.
It's because Gadley couldn't keep his story straight. Probably. All right, you know what? This is a good time. We're going to take a short little break, and we'll be right back on Welcome to Reality. Welcome back to Welcome to Reality. We're here in the basement. I'm Ryan Mason. I'm here with Nicole Torpy Mason.
Hello.
Bucky the dog.
Bucky's here still.
She's tuckered because we fed her a bunch of Beggin' strips. Not a sponsor, but if they are thinking about it, we're also here with...
More like Zach Beggin' strips.
Oh my God, Zach, have you thought about that?
Now we deserve money.
Yeah. And we're here with Mike Berg.
Hi.
Mike, I don't even think I said like what you do, but Mike is a really funny stand-up comedian from Milwaukee, and you perform primarily in this area and a little outside of Milwaukee from time to time. But one of my favorite acts to see, Mike, is somebody who his material focuses in the area of fast food, which makes me laugh, and then just about what it's like to be a guy with real emotions.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, Zach Bagans.
There we go.
Good.
Exactly.
Good.
So, see, I tied it all together there. That was pretty good. I'm proud of myself.
Well, I think Billy Tolley has a lot of.
He has too many
emotions.
emotions.
Yeah, he might.
Even you. That's saying a lot.
Billy, I don't like Billy.
Him and old Jeff Gadley. Boy, those two. Cry me a river.
Well, he was the one who. No, I'm sorry. Jay was filming him, right? When Jeff Gadley.
Yeah.
Whatever. We can move on from Jeff Gadley.
Yeah. So the real construct of this show is that after they do this sort of light background of the facility that they're going to be at or the location in general, they have what's called the lockdown, and that's when the three members of the team plus their like HQ,
nerve center.
The nerve center.
It's the nerve center.
The nerve center. They lock down in the scary place, and they turn the cameras on, and they see what happens. They also use a lot of like technology or like fake paranormal technology.
Can we put air quotes on the podcast?
Air quotes all over that. I love the idea of
the
inventions.
It's just the Kinect is it's my second most hated technology that they use, which is the thing where it shows the little like stick figure guy.
Right.
Oh, the spirit box.
That's some sort of
the spirit box is the worst, which they
thing?
did not use this episode, right?
No.
Yeah.
Didn't really hear
That's
that.
the one that's just like white noise where they like maybe hear where they're like, oh, I heard a voice in there, but it is like it's so bad for TV because it's just like
it's like
they used that? Didn't they use that?
Maybe they
thing?
did. Maybe
Did
they had something that it was like spitting words into their phones, basically.
Right. That was towards the end. That was
oh
Billy.
yeah, that's
I think
Maybe
they
they
used
did
the
use the
speaker
spirit
thing
box.
once.
They may have used it once. I don't. Again, every episode is basically the same on this show.
To me, the scariest stuff and the best stuff was the stuff that they lead with is when they're just checking out a room and something falls or they hear something that's unexpected.
Yeah, which happened night one.
Yeah, like first
immediately.
thing.
And then they just ran out.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even mess around.
I know.
They cut it
"We're
out so
investigating
fast on night one, they
Yeah.
were like, we're done.
But they're like, we're investigating.
We're professionals, but we're out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some things that are too scary for us. And what is that? Literally anything.
Loud noise.
Wait.
Yeah. Like, wouldn't you be like, we should go in there and check that out? That was a scary
yeah.
noise. But like, I'm with you. I would have left.
Yeah.
I just want to talk really quickly because this was like something that happened right off the top. They heard like the unexplained noise and then they were like looking for something and they were like, "This is an offering to spirits." Do you remember that?
The cigarette.
Yes.
Seemed like
It was a
like,
cigarette.
Do you think so? I thought it was like a crack pipe, but either way, it was like.
I thought it was a
There are
cigarette.
crackheads there. That was what I assumed. I was like, there's homeless people here or something, right?
What? It looked
If
like,
it was a crack pipe, that's fine.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm not like.
Either way, I think we're all on board. Homeless person.
Yeah,
Left
for
it there.
sure. It
Yeah.
was just like a
100%.
thing that was left
They're
there.
like, is this an offering to the spirit world? It's like, no, that's a crackhead. Just
But
left
then
the stuff
Zach
there.
answers his own question. I'm 100% sure that this was an offer. Like, that's every time.
Yeah.
Ask and answer.
But, like, let's say someone went there and left an offering. That doesn't mean anything paranormal happened.
That means there's a crazy guy who leaves offerings
or
to
there's
things.
some, like,
And not much.
There's
Not much
just
of an
some
offering.
weird kid with his dumb friends
Right.
who went there and was like, let's draw a pentagram or whatever. Like, you
Yeah.
know? Like, that doesn't mean there's ghosts there.
Right.
It was Jeff Gadley. He was there earlier.
Yeah.
I did an offering.
He couldn't remember his prayers.
Yeah. He couldn't remember his prayers. Oh, yeah, we forgot. He didn't remember his... When he was in the car with Jose, and then he was like, Jose, I want to crush your skull. And then Jose was like, man, say your prayers. And then Jeff Gadley was like, I don't remember my prayers. And that was supposed to be, to us, it was supposed to be very scary.
Very scary.
Because I think we're supposed to be like, man, this guy probably does really remember his prayer. Well, like, that's kind
normal
of bragging, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like real backhanded bragging.
Right.
Well, it's also like this show like never acknowledges the idea that like anxiety exists.
Oh,
Correct.
Where
Yeah.
like you might be in a scary place
Yes.
and you get an anxiety attack of some nature where you can't breathe or you
It'd be
Or
great
you
if...
can't move. Like,
Yeah.
what Jeff was going
Yeah.
through was
Yes.
a panic attack.
Right.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I think
it
too.
was.
Yeah, I've had them too, Jeff. You know what helps? Like a little breathing, you know, maybe
Getting out of the confined
Yeah.
space.
maybe
would
a
help.
pill of sorts.
Cigarette.
Yeah, cigarette might help.
crushing Jose's head.
No,
Also
no, physical
helpful.
activity. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you're right.
That
Yeah.
does relieve the stress.
Wouldn't it be great if they had like really stressful, scary moments in this place, and then the doctor from My 600-Pound Life came out and was just like, "How's it going?"
Honestly, that would be the most comforting sight. Like if I was
great
in a scary
crossover.
place.
Yeah, crossover episode.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing? And what are you eating?
He's just screaming at Zach that he's an enabler.
Yeah,
Like the whole
you're an
episode.
enabler, and you keep doing this, you will die. Okay, that's his catchphrase. Is
Right.
like, if you keep living this way, you'll die.
Yeah.
Aw.
Man,
He
that
tries
show.
so hard.
People showing up in the back of a van with no seats in it, just like, that's tough. That's a tough
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Anyways, it's called depression, and those people have it. I wanted to say, like, in the lockdown, this episode was different than other episodes because it seems like they're wearing flak jackets and hazmat suits.
Trash bags. They look like trash bags.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And, like, I just watched Chernobyl, and I was like, these guys look like they're going into Chernobyl.
Yeah, I
Were
actually.
they trying to catch the buzz? Like, everybody's in a Chernobyl. Let's do
That's
a
funny.
hazmat thing
Maybe. I
episode.
would not.
That's
doubt
funny
it.
because I literally wrote that down too. Because they were wearing these. Although I accidentally wrote Chernobyl, which is funny.
How would they know though?
Um,
Like, unless the production on these is like, when do you think this was shot? Because, like, part of me thinks.
Who knows, man?
part of
You know
me
there's been
thinks that
18
they-
seasons?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
That's
Watched
insane.
them all.
It's a simple show.
And no season is consistent. There's like 7 episode
No,
seasons.
and
There's 20
Yeah,
episode
that's why-
seasons.
however much they
That's
can
why
buy.
I never give a number the 2 times we've done this because the numbering system is really confusing
Right.
because they also put out these things called extra
Specials,
pulses,
right?
which are
Yeah.
like the same episodes
They
where
have
they
a movie.
like it's like a pop-up video version of the episode.
Yeah.
The movie is actually I really enjoyed their movie. I
The
thought
first
it was-
documentary, I heard it got awards.
The first
and
one's
stuff.
good,
But
and
then
then
they
they
have another
just
one
made
called Demon House.
Yeah, which was
Demon
I
House.
thought so fun.
Don't watch Demon House.
That one might be
Is
actually
that fiction?
No,
Is it?
no, it's
Alright.
not. It's whatever. So we can
So
move
you're
on.
saying
But
it's too scary for
but-
me?
Watch it with your girlfriend.
Alright, thanks.
Then
But the
she can
thing-
hold your hand and
Hey man, that's awesome.
wipe your brow.
Sounds great.
the thing
It's a
that
great
was
choice.
frustrating
Old
to
man's.
me was so Zach Bagans often wears a mask because I think he has asthma or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why.
But this time, all of them were wearing them. But the thing that bugged me the most was they were wearing these like hazmat style suits with the masks on, but their hands were exposed.
Oh yeah.
So,
Also, their masks wouldn't do anything. They were wearing
Yeah.
paper ones. He had the one good gas mask.
Yes.
and I think that's because he wears it often. I think in especially like places like this.
It was
I-
clearly asbestos.
He
and
ob-
people-
yeah, he obviously
It's made of
he
asbestos.
always claims it's because he's done too many lockdowns and he's had like
But
whatever. But it's
hasn't
like,
most of these guys been on the show
yes.
with? Okay.
I don't know why he just won't say I have asthma.
Because he makes the most amount of money, and he can afford the best gas mask. That's
it's also like, just say you have asthma, dude. Like, it's cool. A lot of people have asthma.
Like, we're all still watching.
You can't wear baggy black pants and admit you have asthma.
Who in 2019 is still like, this guy's got asthma?
What a
fucking
pussy.
Yeah, like, who is that? Like, no, it's
those guys.
Yeah,
on
I guess
that
you're
show.
right. It's like that. It's like literally Zach Bagans. He's like, I made fun of people for having asthma my whole life, and now I have asthma. And you're like, you're an asshole, then, right? Like,
I'm an asshole. Like, he probably say it about himself.
I'm an asshole, like asthma.
Nah, that wasn't good.
But, fine. So they go through the building, and then they start to get these EVPs or something about a little kid who they think is like
the infrared camera. Had a special name for it.
Yeah, it was the... I don't know. It was
SLP or whatever?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I didn't write it down, but
I wrote way too much about Jeff Gadley.
Give us a Jeff Gadley.
Well, so is this like when Billy?
I think it's called the SLS camera, but I don't know what that stands for.
I don't know either. It's like a weird full. I think it's like a full spectrum camera, meaning it can take pictures in like infrared and like all that shit.
What's strange is when you look at what they show you, the camera shows. It's different than when you look while they're looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
So whatever they're showing the audience on TV is different from what they're actually looking at.
I think, and
it's
I could be wrong.
It's hard to tell when they're filming what, and then like what each device does.
Right.
But then they put the footage on the screen, and then they overlay these like stick figures on it a lot of times, where they're like, here you can see the little kid demon pass through this radiator and onto Jeff's head or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and that Connect thing blows my mind every time. But all I can say is let's say it's real. Let's say it's actually mapping ghosts. Ghosts are always doing a funny little jig.
Yes.
Always.
100%.
Non-stop.
What if that's their only way to communicate? They're like,
maybe.
You know, I'd be like, okay, well, there's people here. You know, like I do a little
put on a show.
Yeah, here we go.
I think but I don't know for sure. But I think the SLS camera. I think the point of it is that you film and then you can flip it basically films like a bunch of different types at the same time. So like you film something and then you can watch it in infrared. You can watch it in heat sensor. You can watch it in. I think that's what it does. So I think that's why when you're looking at it, sometimes they flip it on the screen, and sometimes they'll do like a split screen where you can see it in both versions and things like that. But I'm not 100%.
Wow, and we should say our podcast is about cameras, and welcome to Camera Talk.
Welcome to Camera Talk.
Hey, you want a Ghost Adventures?
I love how much you're breaking down like the technological equipment that they
I
bring.
actually hate that part of the show too.
I do too. That's like to me one of the worst parts about the show is the equipment. Like I honestly think the show is better if it's just Zach Bagans, Jeff Gadley, and one camera. Right. And maybe like 2 flashlights.
Which is what it used to be.
Not Billy.
Guys,
Let's see what we got.
Leave Billy alone.
Okay. So before we get to Billy, I think we'll kind of finish with Billy. But the thing that I laughed the hardest at was they're doing a little kid demon thing, and then Zach's like acting funny. This happens on a lot of the episodes. Right. And one of them says, Zachary, what's going on? And then he sort of describes how he's feeling, like something has gone into his body or whatever. And then it shoots out of his body and goes,
into Billy.
But before it shoots out of his body, Zach says that, and I quote, it feels like there's an ice-cold boa constrictor on me right now.
It's a good line.
Which I was like, first of all, he did not think of that on the spot. Like 100%. Like he has written down in a like vision board somewhere ice cold boa constrictor.
Probably tattooed on his back.
Or there's like a band in Vegas called Ice Cold Boa
Sounds like
Constrictor.
a band in Vegas.
That would be a good band name.
That would be like a new metal band.
Yeah, it would. In Vegas. For sure.
Yeah. Which I was like, respect. I respect Zach that he like cares so much about his show. That he's like, I have to use colorful language.
That's the poet in him.
Even though it's funny, like, why not at least try to have a persona?
Yeah.
And he, like, tries really hard at his persona.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, I totally respect that.
Right.
Can we talk about right after that what you're talking about, they are like sort of reviewing what just happened, and he's like, "Oh my God, look at this bruise."
The bruise, yes. The little red dot.
Couldn't have been the light. Like it was the
Well,
smallest
it's a ghost.
bruise I've
It was
ever
really
seen in my
small.
life.
I don't remember.
And they had to zoom up so close on his back to make it look for us to see it. Like, they had to zoom so close.
Yeah, it looked like a bruise that was like a week old.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Also,
like
you're
the
walking around in
tiniest
the
And
thing.
Jay was like, "Oh, it's right there." Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Like,
in
this
an
is
old
red.
building, like, it's possible you just, like, scratched yourself on something. Right?
Yeah.
He probably
for
bumped
sure.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're also walking in the dark a lot.
Yeah.
So
The show is very strange. Like, they're like, show us a pimple on your back, we'll get a tight shot of it, and we'll just
That's
be like,
proof.
a ghost did
Proof.
this. Yeah.
proof.
Yeah.
100% irrefutable.
So, speaking of irrefutable, Billy then sort of has this demon go through his
Yeah.
body or whatever.
Something happens to Billy.
Is this what
Tell
he
us,
was like?
Mike, tell us what you
Yeah.
thought of Billy in general.
Oh my god. I thought he was. I mean, he just didn't seem like he should be there. Like, he couldn't handle this situation at all.
And
Like,
he's
at all. He succumbed so quick, like, faster
Yes.
than Jeff Gadley.
Yeah.
Immediately,
He's
he was
worse-
like-
Gadley was on his knees.
worse
He
than
couldn't-
Gadley was
Gadley.
like, Billy was like, I'm possessed. I'm angry. I'm yelling at everybody to leave this hospital. I'm
Yeah.
going to be here. Like, it was like, these are all bad decisions, man.
Yeah.
These are all bad decisions.
So, like, if he's faking it, which he definitely is, he's, like, going through the steps, like...
Too quickly, too.
He's seen them done by Zach. It seems like
Yes.
Zach has done this
Yes,
on other shows,
yes,
too.
I
And it's
fully
like,
agree with
he's
you.
trying to do what Zach does on the
Yeah.
show, which is like...
I did
feel
get a
like-
little brother vibe from Billy.
Yes.
Trying to impress Zach.
And you're
But
just
then
like,
Zach didn't care at all.
That, yeah,
And
that
I
was
feel
the
like
thing.
that should hurt
He
Billy's
did not
feelings.
give him his, like,
I
just
bet it
desserts.
does. I bet it really
Okay,
I bet it does.
I agree. Because they were concerned about Aaron. Like, Zach
Yeah.
was like, Jay, you gotta look at Aaron. Make sure
Yeah.
Aaron's okay in this room. And the second Billy's like, I'm gonna go be by myself now. And
Yeah.
Zach's like just worried about his bruise in the nerve
Yeah.
center, just like, can you guys give me some ice?
Get a
I
tight
don't-
shot on this bruise. I think comedians do that sometimes, where it's like, here's a friend of mine, I'm gonna go watch them perform, or like, and then like, here's this other person that's part of this group, and like,
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna, I don't give a shit.
I will say though that like when it was Nick, Zach, and Aaron, often they would make like Aaron go be by himself,
Yeah.
and they'd like kind of make fun of him for being scared, and like it was like a whole thing. So I feel like maybe he's like earned his stripes, and now Billy's the new like.
One they don't care about.
Yeah, for sure. Although there was that part where Billy was like kind of like on his own mumbling. And,
It
like,
just
that
wasn't
was
good
creepy.
TV, though.
That was
But
scary.
to me.
he was having an issue, like Jeff did. Like, it
think
was
Zach-
just, he was going through a thing.
I think
Yeah.
Zach just can't be the focus of the show 100% of the time, all the time, or else it just loses its value within the show. So I think he's just like, I need a couple other guys to say like they're possessed by or something. Otherwise, it's going to seem like I'm faking everything.
Yeah, but I will say
But doesn't
that...
it seem like they're faking it if more people act that way?
For some reason, Zach to me is just good at it. Like he's
Okay,
good
so
at the
He
faking.
is good at it.
And
Yes.
so like even if he's faking it, I find it oddly compelling or likable. It's the way that like Guy Fieri bites into some like garbage sandwich in like Nebraska and he's like, this is the bomb.
And you believe
and
it.
I'm like,
100%
it may not
on
be
board.
the bomb, but like the way that he says it, I'm like,
Are you suggesting that sandwich is not the bomb?
I'm saying it might be off the chain.
Okay,
Oh,
alright.
yeah.
But it may not be quite in Flavor Town yet.
It may be on the outskirts of Flavor Town,
yeah,
but
okay.
he's always gonna treat it like it is, and the way that he operates
Zach does that too.
is the way that Zach operates,
Yeah.
and when Billy does it, I'm like, this is not real.
Nah.
Ryan,
It's less genuine.
I don't mean to like get into our life here too much. But I often do not understand your love for Guy Fieri, but now as you're describing this, is like my love for Zach Bagans just like the lady
Yeah.
version of you?
Kind of, yeah. They're very similar characters.
Very committed.
Sometimes
Wow.
I love Guy Fieri so much. Sometimes late at night when Nicole goes to bed, I'll just be having a glass of wine, listening to like
It's really
soft,
scared what's
like
going on.
real pussy music,
Right.
like The National or something.
Sure.
And I'll just be watching Triple D on mute and just laughing. just drinking a glass of wine, just laughing at the facial expressions that Guy Fieri
Yeah.
doles out. Because he's very expressive as a person,
Yeah.
which
You know
is
what?
why I wish...
Why isn't he on this show?
I would
Get him
love
in.
if
He
it,
should.
oh, man,
He's
he should
in
be 100%
Vegas.
should be on the
One
show.
episode.
He's in
from
Vegas,
Vegas.
right?
Yeah. He should
You feel
100%
like he
be
would
on the
be
show.
so good
Let
at
me tell
it.
you, Vince.
He'd be so good at
Immediately.
it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Vince Neil was on an episode of this show one time where they did like
From Motley Crue?
Yeah, when they did like.
I did
like,
hear.
the
I
lecture or
read
something
about
like
the
that.
Motley Crue guy.
And I swear to God, he had a heart attack on screen, and
Right.
no one did anything about it. Or he was just like, "Ugh, I'm really scared." I was like, I think this man's having a heart
It's
attack.
because Nikki Sixx straight up died, came back to life. Everybody's like, okay.
But my
Get
point
over
is
it.
that I would. That's a great idea. He should have, because they've had like various guests. Like there was an MMA fighter.
Because they
was
could do the
on.
travel aspect of the episode up front and be like, we're doing travel, we're going to do food and whatever. And then the second part is like paranormal lockdown. And like Guy Fieri, literally, I would watch him do that. Are you kidding me? It would have to be like his son would have to be involved, is my guess. Hunter or whatever. Guy Fieri's son.
Yeah, we all.
He has a
yeah.
son?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
man.
got a couple kids.
He's got a
You're
couple kids.
diehard fan.
Yeah. He's a happily married guy. He's a celebrity who's still married. It would have to be something like that.
No one's shitting on Guy Fieri. It's
I
okay.
thought the institution of marriage people were like
You
down.
know the chicken place is going to be coming, right?
the Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the,
right,
the
yeah,
chicken
that's
finger
right.
guy. What's it called? The chicken guy?
I'm
Some
staunchly
sort of
against
restaurant.
the idea of I feel like grown people
Shouldn't eat chicken tenders
should not eat chicken tenders.
because they're like chicken nuggets.
Yes.
Well, I already eat chicken nuggets, so I'm allowed to eat chicken tenders.
I eat chicken nuggets too. 'Cause,
Chicken
like,
tenders for me is a step above.
I'm saying you should have bones in whatever you're eating if it's a chicken thing.
Ryan, I saw you eat a dinosaur-shaped chicken nugget. Not. one
No, I
day
haven't had
ago.
any of the dinosaur shaped ones. That's a lie.
There really is nothing different between those and the regular shake.
Yeah.
No, but
It's the
I
same
mean, when
thing.
I will say I'm totally guilty of like when you go to McDonald's and you order a Happy Meal for
Right.
my kids, you can order 4-piece or 6-piece. And if
You
you
get
order
the
the 6-piece McNugget for
You
your
keep the
kids,
extra two.
you're a fucking liar and you're ordering 2 nuggets for yourself from each of them. That's what it is. That's what it is. Man, that would be insane if Guy Fieri was
I feel like he'd be able to
so.
handle it
Yeah.
like so much better than Billy.
Yeah.
Like way better.
It'd probably be so
He'd go
good
in
that
there,
they'd be like, why is this
And
not
he'd do
a
his
show?
like Guy Fieri would do his shake and like it'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
awesome.
I don't know why I've never thought about this before, but this is a shockingly good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should happen.
There's so many haunted places in Vegas too.
First of
Like,
all, his hair's already standing up on end,
Right.
so he doesn't need any help with
Oh.
that.
Doesn't he
Second of
have
all,
any-
like, imagine if his glasses, like,
Yeah, his
flipped
sunglasses
off
are
of his head and
backwards,
flipped, like,
Yeah.
back to the back of his head. That'd be hilarious. He wears a lot of ghostly accoutrement, like a lot of rings with skulls on them, the way that Zach Bagans
fire
does.
shirts.
Fire
They, have
shirts.
they obviously have the same tailor, but, like, I would watch.
I would say Guy
100%
has more
that.
style than Zach, clothing wise.
Agreed, because Zach just wears black. I want to know.
And
You know what?
Vegas,
This
he must
raises
be
a really
so
good
hot.
point.
He must
I've
be
seen
so
a lot
hot.
of people
Mike,
dressed
this
like
is a-
Zach Bagans.
That's a great point, and my question to you would be, what are Guy Fieri's tattoos? I want to know everything
I bet he has
about it.
zero.
I
I don't know
doubt
his
this. I
tattoos.
feel like
No,
he
he's
has.
got one on his arm.
He
doesn't
definitely
he?
has
Yeah.
some.
Guy
on
has
his arm.
tattoos.
Yes.
I really don't know much about him. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like I don't know.
I know
much
the
about him, but
Shane Torres bit. That's about all.
All I know is that he went to UNLV.
that is a great bet. Shane Torres.
Oh,
is
it's
on
a brilliant
Conan
bit.
O'Brien. Like
I listened to that the first time in Iowa.
it's this comedian who goes on and just like kind of
Shane Torres.
Like
He goes on a rant about why do people hate Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
And the main punchline is like because he actually achieved his dreams.
Yeah.
Like, and people are jealous of that. And then he just goes and lists. It's
Yeah.
a great bit.
Look,
it's
can,
amazing, and it's like
I-
such a positive thing, which like
He knew what he wanted in life, and he went after it, and he got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people
here's
are
the
jealous of it.
which is amazing.
I am
Such a great
I
bit.
often tell people like he got his job by being on Food Network Star.
Yes.
He went on a
So he
reality
was a
show
reality
and
star,
he
yeah.
was just like that is amazing. Like how I mean, truly I watch a lot of reality TV obviously.
Yeah.
And it never
But how-
works out.
how
If you win a
many people-
contest to get
There's
a
a
TV
few,
job,
there's
it
a few,
never
but
works
you know,
out.
like how many people go on a competition show and like become
Famous.
that
yeah.
level famous? Like there's a few.
The Miz would
Kelly
be like
Clarkson
my
for a little bit.
Kelly Clarkson.
I'd say
But
Kelly
she's-
Clarkson, yeah.
She came back, but
Yeah.
she did drop off for a while.
But that's like
The Miz, I would
she
say.
straddled a moment in time with that show being
The Miz.
so popular that like if she was even remotely competent at what she was doing, saying, she would have to be famous.
It was the first
Because
season.
so many
though,
people
also.
watched it.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was the first season. So
I remember
Yeah,
like
that was
I was
huge.
like I don't like any of this music. I don't like any of these people.
But I liked her more than Justin.
But I watched
She was against
that
Justin,
show.
right?
Yes, Justin Guarini.
I would say Christian Siriano.
Christian
also.
Siriano, sure.
But he was already like.
Very talented.
I mean, he would have probably been.
Yeah,
famous
that's from
regardless, but
Project Runway. Yeah.
Theo Von.
Theo Von. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Touring comedian.
But I would say about the Miz and
Coming to
Theo
Milwaukee.
Von, their reality shows were not based on their, like they didn't. That didn't. It wasn't like he was on a stand-up.
Dude, I'm gonna try so hard to get on.
It was
that
just
show.
a springboard.
Sean Duffy. We bring up Sean Duffy on this show like so often.
He was in the news today.
know.
He was on The Real World, and he is a
he's
Wisconsin congressman from far up north, and he's a big right-wing congressperson. Yeah. He sucks. We can say that.
Yeah,
he sucks. Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks.
But he was on a very important season of Real
his
World.
wife.
Yeah, his wife was also.
They got married on that show.
It's whatever.
Not on the show.
It's different. It's different, probably, to live up there and like.
No, don't.
They're
I won't defend
isolated.
it.
He's
They're
a shitty
isolated.
head.
That's
He's
their.
a shithead.
You're right. No, you're right. Their living experience is different.
Yes.
But their ability to empathize is awful.
Yeah,
And that's
true.
why they are the way they are.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
What a great way to wrap up this episode.
That said, ghosts, baby.
But at the end of the episode, Billy
Yeah.
says he doesn't feel good, basically, and it's
a lot. Like, it's
he
a
says
lot
that
of the episode.
But he doesn't. There's no like outward expression.
Doesn't he pass out? I
He
feel like
doesn't
he
pass
falls
out.
down.
Like, he does this weird thing where he's like laying on the ground and he's like mumbling and
It's like he's fake-
But I see the
Jeff
camera go
Gadley.
like sideways.
Yeah.
So I feel like he does pass out.
But that's the thing.
And then
They
the
really
show abruptly
Abruptly ends.
Abruptly
And
ends.
do you remember what the Chamber of Commerce woman wanted them to do?
No.
Get the spirits out so we can do the tours again. And they do none of that.
Oh yeah.
They do nothing for the
this
Chamber of
show-
Commerce. They
Yeah.
do nothing for the city.
Yeah.
They just cut and run.
Yeah.
They cut and run.
This is one of the things that I often think about this show is that we always say like the editing on the show is bananas.
Right.
Because a lot of times they're using these short, like probably have to edit a lot of footage.
Right.
And then it's footage of nothing.
Right.
That they have to be like, and you could see a ghost here. So the ends of the episode are often very weird. Like
Yeah, they're very
just like,
abrupt.
and that's it, and then it's done. Roll
Right.
credits.
He was very happy about his apparition. The
Yeah.
purple hazy ghost that they call on the
Because
camera.
they have to
Right,
decide, like, what is it that is the most important thing that we did today?
Right.
And it's like, well, kind of nothing. And you led.
They saved Billy from a panic attack.
Yeah.
And I
That's
was
what
like,
they did.
I will tell
And
you
they
this.
led with Gadley, who you're like, okay, this
Yeah.
is fun. Like, you should.
Gadley
do
was
that.
more,
I will
better
tell you
TV.
this: there are certain episodes of the show where you know nothing at all happens because they will make the like travel like typically it's like half and half,
Right.
and sometimes you'll see shows where it's like 45 minutes of
Yeah.
like the intro and you're like, nothing, like
Nothing.
literally nothing happened.
There's one episode like Old West Town where you're just like they're at the gosh darn candy shop for.
There's an
45
episode
minutes.
where they did the Excelsior nightclub in Chicago, which is supposed to be haunted, and like literally nothing happened. Well, it was the weekend where there was those big whatever. It doesn't matter. There's these big protests or whatever in Chicago. So they like have a point where they go out into the like they do the like they show the protests, which has nothing to do with anything, and then they like scouted like a quick second location because like clearly just it was like absolutely nothing happened. But then that's the episode where they did the cemetery by where I grew up there.
Okay.
Which is
Okay.
very, but it was like one of the worst episodes I've ever seen because it was like clearly they just had nothing and they just like cobbled together a weird episode.
I hope this show goes on forever though. Like
I
I
think it
honestly
might.
hope that this show.
As
just,
long
like,
as
keeps
Travel
going.
Channel renews it, I don't see Zach doing any. What else could Zach Bagans do?
Well,
I
he
mean,
owns a haunted museum.
Sell hats. Like he probably
No.
wears a lot of
Out of his
platform
museum,
hats.
he could sell hats on
Yeah.
there. He probably
I'm sure
does.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should ask you the question we
Yeah.
asked of everyone who comes on the show. We made you watch the show that you had never watched before, but would you watch this again? Or will you watch it again?
Probably not. That's my most honest answer.
That's
That
fine.
makes sense. You said like your girlfriend watches it from time to time.
She has watched it,
Yeah.
and then her reaction immediately after the episode ended was, "That's exactly what happens on every episode."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was this show, this episode that we watched as a casual viewer did not surprise me. Also, I will say from the standpoint of this show, This was a good episode because that place looked scary.
Oh, it looked terrifying.
For sure. Like that
if you
place scared me.
filmed a horror film there, like, it would make sense.
I almost didn't need all the extra, like, the technology side, because I'm not interested in, like, you guys capturing footage of a ghost. Like,
Yeah.
I'm interested in, like, the building itself and what it looks like to the naked eye.
Right.
Because that's scary enough for me, you know? But they must have done this 1,000 times, so they know what their formula is. But, yeah. What about, like, this is... I
also wanted to say that I thought the purple apparition that they did show on the camera, and he was very excited about that. Meanwhile, he's really excited about that, and Billy is, like, having a panic attack, and probably... And he just doesn't care. But anyways, like, the apparition, this might be nerding out, but it looks like Master Chief from Halo.
Oh,
like the video game Halo.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say anything about that. It doesn't look like a person.
Right.
Maybe it has, like,
tall.
legs and arms, but then the
it
head is a helmet. It's
Yeah.
a giant head.
To me, it looked like that thing that's on the beginning of X-Files, where it's
Sure.
like, burp, 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 but they,
Yeah.
it's like not in any episode, but
Right.
that's what
And
I
do
thought.
you think that is Master Chief from Halo?
I don't know Master Chief from Halo, but when I wrote that down, that I thought it looked like the
God.
thing from the beginning of X-Files.
I think we can all agree it did not look like Michael. It did not look like
No,
Rose.
it looks like too big.
It didn't even
and
look like
too
the little
long.
kid. It didn't look like the
whatever
the stick figure kid that was doing the
The
jig.
jig. They have to do the jig.
Oh, God. Well, thank you,
Yes,
Mike,
thank
for
you.
coming on and watching this episode.
It was fun.
It was fun. It's fun enough. I always say, like, even if you wouldn't watch this show, it is a show, like, if I'm in a hotel and I have to kill time, this is, like, a perfect show to, like, I'll watch.
Sure.
I'll spend 30 minutes with Zach and the crew. Like, but,
It's an hour-long show, but that's fine.
If Triple D is
He's only paying attention for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
You watch the
exactly.
first half and then...
Yeah, I'll
skip
watch the first
second.
half,
Okay.
and when it gets scary, I turn on
Yeah.
Fieri. Oh my God, you could call it Scary Fieri.
There it is! Boom!
Ah!
Why aren't you in Hollywood pitching it right now?
I need $1 million. I need $1 million.
You know what? Edit this out. Edit this out.
cut
You
this
can
out.
get
We're
$1
gonna
million.
cut all
You
this out.
can get it.
Mike, you got anything?
It's there, man.
Yeah,
go
you want to plug?
Hollywood.
Where can people find you? Do you want
well,
people to find you?
I will be performing at the Milwaukee Comedy Festival starting July 30th through August 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
Not specific on the date yet, but come
Go
to
to
all the shows. I'm sure it'll be
MilwaukeeComedy.com.
great.
Yeah. MilwaukeeComedy.com for all your comedy needs in terms of this city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to be performing. My guess is mine's going to be on one of the last 2 days because I'm out of town for the most of it. But if people are looking to find me, you can find me on Instagram at RyanMason18. You can also follow Welcome to Reality on Instagram, and those would be some of the places I would really suggest.
Reality MKE.
Welcome to Reality MKE, and on Twitter.
TO_pod.
And then my Twitter is at QW Gooding Jr. Mike, do you have Twitter?
I do have a Twitter. It's at Big Mike Berg.
Okay, at Big Mike Berg.
There it is.
Mike Berg.
That's my Instagram too.
Mike Berg is a funny and gentle soul, and you should follow him on any of the places that you can. And I want to say thank you to anybody who downloaded and listened all the way through to this point, and wasn't scared. So.
It was not scary.
Okay. We'll see you next time on Welcome to Reality.